Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone is doing well. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Egbe here. I do want to take a moment to talk about the difference between being a telecommuter versus actually working from home fully as a remote worker. Both of them, you're allowed to work from home full time. I know sometimes these questions do come up, so I wanted to take a moment to address it. The only difference is that for telecommuting roles, the expectation is for you to be located at least close to a central office. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going physically into the office, but you do need to be in close proximity to a location of the office, right? Whereas a fully remote role basically is saying that you can work from anywhere in the world. So they would determine where that is. Most of the time you will get like indentation that says US remote, or you will get something like the state and it will say remote. So really you want to pay attention to those little details. That's very, very important. But as a telecommuter, you are allowed to work as long as you continue to reside in that state. So wherever you are hired as a telecommuter, that is the state you will continue to reside. But should you decide to shift residence, that becomes something that could potentially affect your salary negotiation. It could go up or it could go down. So it really depends on where you were originally hired, and also depends on where you are moving to, if there is a job need for that position or job need within the organization. For example, what do I mean by that? Let's say I was hired in California. I lived in California. I applied for a job, and as a telecommuter, I got the job. They know my residence address is in California. Let's say I'm going to now be moving from California, which is quite high paying in terms of salary requirements, to a state like Iowa, for example. So Iowa, the standard of living or cost of living is way lower. So the expectation is for the organization to either keep your salary the same. They may not increase your salary for a couple of years, or some companies can make a decision and let you know once you're ready to make that life-changing decision. They will let you know that potentially you may lose a portion of your salary because you are now moving to a state that is not as high paying. So that's what happens with telecommute. However, US remote makes such a big difference if that's what you decide to go for, because in that case, as long as you reside anywhere in the US, whatever salary has been offered to you will remain the same. But obviously it's still at the discretion of the organization to make a change. They can decide, because you are in a particular state, we're going to offer you this, versus somebody that lives in a different state. So the discretion is still up to them. It's a very fine line between both, but the tendency for your salary to be dropped should you move to a low paying state is more likely as a telecommuter versus as a fully remote staff. So I do want to just make sure that I call that out. But another thing too that is important, at least from research that I've done so far on the topic, is that sometimes when you're a telecommuter, there's a little bit more safety versus when you are a fully remote staff, because there are limitations that you encounter as a fully remote individual. You may not be entitled to all of the details of the organization, versus when you're a telecommuter, you're integrated into the team, you're integrated into the organization, you have a lot of access to basically everything that anyone would have access to. So as you apply for different opportunities, interview for roles, I think really try to ask questions and kind of make sure that you are familiar with what they are really offering, versus just kind of going with assumptions that as a fully remote individual, I am going to be entitled to everything. Really just making sure like you read the fine print, have conversations, ask questions, especially during your interview process. That becomes extremely important. So I wanted to talk about that because that's something that has been on my mind, and also I've had a lot of questions come through over time, and I wanted to just take a moment to talk about it. So like Indeed accurately puts it, and I will make sure that I post the link to this article or career guide. I'll make sure that I put it in the description of this video so that folks can actually see that. As you can see on here, it talks about telecommuting or telework, and it talks about carrying their duties, from an offsite location, which can include another branch of the main office. So there's always kind of a place that it may be a virtual place, but is set up for that individual versus somebody who does not. So telecommuters commuters usually live close to their place of employment. Some companies don't offer that at all. You don't need to go anywhere at all. I know United, for example, or Optum, as a telecommuter, you don't even get to go anywhere. You work from home. That's just it. So really important to keep that in mind as well, which is where the question comes in, kind of just having those conversations and asking to ensure that you have all your answers before you make your decision. So remote work is a type of employment that allows individual to work from anywhere. That may be true, may not be true, right? So we have had many instances, at least from my videos, and also I'm sure you watching many people on YouTube as well, where they talk about, remote opportunities. You see where specifications come in, where they are specifying for specific states. They say, for example, Pennsylvania, and then it says remote. It's really essential to focus on those little details as you look through different opportunities, whether through my videos or other videos on YouTube that are providing these opportunities, kind of just making sure that you are reading those type of fine prints as you submit your applications. And also when you do get that interview, that opportunity for an interview, really asking those type of questions. Should I want to move tomorrow? What are some of the implications that I should keep in mind? Those type of questions are very, very relevant as you make your decision whether or not to go for one role versus the other. And then you see on here, right, it talks about a whole lot of stuff. It talks about what are some of the pros and cons. It talks about on-site attendance, but that's not always true. For telecommuting roles, I have held many positions, and a lot of them, there are no obligations to go into any office as a telecommuter. So it really varies. The main point I really wanted to make sure came across in this video is for folks to really ask questions. As you do your interview, just get those answers right away so that you can make your decisions, okay? All of these are very, very important. However, though, I do want to just make sure that at the end of all of this, the main and the most important thing is just asking the questions. So when you have those opportunities to meet with the HR person, the HR people are the best people to actually ask these questions because they would know. So just make sure you ask the questions, okay? That's my little quick update that I wanted to provide between being a telecommuter and also being a remote worker. As you are actually searching for work in different websites, keep that in mind as well. Some companies may not title the job as remote, but they will title it as virtual. So in your search, just keep all of these little details in mind to have a better outcome. So that was my little spiel. Hope you find it helpful. Give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you've not subscribed already, and turn your notification bell on so you get notified when I do post new videos. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Till next time, best of luck to you. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.